Hello, beautiful people. This is the Inspiration Trilogy. My name is Marika Gare, and this podcast is a platform for women across the globe to share wisdom, experiences, and stories, and just really support one another. So, today's guest, we have Kanika, who's a spiritual teacher, healer, and reader, and founder of the Art of Life Centre here in Perth. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here, Marika.
And look, it's beautiful to have you here today. I think we've got a lot of wonderful things to talk about. So to start off, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you got to where you are?
That goes to about a few years ago, and I hope like my journey or the way I had it is not a way of starting for a lot of people. So yeah, like my life was not really doing well. I wasn't, if you talk about it in any dimension, so let's say a personal space, professional space, so on, like everywhere, I did not feel I was doing well. I was also pregnant at the time, but I tried meditating at the time just to um, get better. And I did it
Yeah.
in very much a way, like I guess my science background, it was very much like, okay, so I meditated for this long now, has life improved? And so on. It was very measured. I tried doing it like that, but it wasn't working for me. And ultimately, what happened was I also lost my baby at the time. So my daughter was
Oh,
31 weeks when I lost her. And
oh
this
my
was
goodness.
very hard hitting. I had a son,
Absolutely.
and it was so hard because I really wanted to reach out with her. I felt very guilty as a mom because I lost her when I was sleeping.
Oh,
And I was like, oh gosh, as my second child, I didn't love her enough. Like, the first time you're able to sort of.
oh, bless you, poor thing. That would have been so hard.
It was, but I think it was also a very good thing because, and that's why I say that maybe and hopefully a lot of people don't need to have that kick in their life. I really needed her. She is in my life now. So she's been
Yeah.
one of my biggest teachers. And she let me into a whole lot of other spiritual teachers and just courses and stuff that I've done. So, well, through that whole experience, and because I had a son, oh, I hope you're okay. Um, but through that whole experience, I sort of learned that, well, life's bigger than, just what I'm thinking at the moment as well. I wanted to live a really good life and get it back on track because my son was there. I wanted to reconnect with her. So she was my reason of really trying to meditate again or trying to just
Oh,
finding a way of being with her. And the more I did that, the more I found happiness in all the domains. And I never thought I'd have that. Like I honestly wanted to die. I did not want
yeah.
to live at all. But then, because all of this happened, and because I had a son, so I couldn't really check out, I couldn't be angry.
Yeah.
I lost a daughter and take it out on a son who was 2 years old and check out on him. So
Yeah.
I was like, I have to find happiness. So, but in the whole process, in the process of finding happiness for him, I found happiness and meaning for myself, which was the
Oh,
best
it's so
gift.
beautiful. Grief is such a challenging thing to go through. I mean, for anybody. And when it's not expected and it's sudden, yeah, it is, it just blows you away. I lost my brother around 20 years ago now, and his loss was very sudden as well. And it came out of the blue. And it really blows you away. And you don't, it was, I mean, I've lost my grandparents when I was younger, but I think, I guess in some ways you kind of it's inevitable that that will happen eventually. But to lose sort of a sibling at such a young age, it was yeah, it just it just blows you away, and it's really challenging to get through those difficult times and to find that way through. And I did some meditation myself as well,
Mm.
and I'd never meditated before. I didn't really know what to expect, and I thought, oh, I don't really know how this is going to help. That
Yeah.
was my first trial of it. And I did some sessions. I think I did 5 or 6, and I noticed such a difference. And then further down the track, I had a major car accident. I had a lot of injuries, and then I got back into the meditation again, and
Mm.
it was so transformative for me to go through that process and really delve into those shadow parts of yourself and explore that. And it is surprising that I was the same as you, where I just ended up coming to such a peaceful, happy place. And it's not something that you really thought you could get to, but it's such a beautiful journey. Um, yeah, something beautiful comes out of that pain, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And I think even since then, as much as I would say, hey, I've healed from that, it's just a process. It keeps
Yeah.
going. But how old were you when you lost your brother?
I was 26.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess I was older in some ways. I wasn't still a child, but it was just so unexpected. You don't even think about losing someone at that age. You just
Yeah.
sort of starting out in life, and yeah.
And we don't all know how to like get on with life. Like, I mean, I know, the logical thing to say is, hey, get on, move over it. And not that anybody said it to me like that. But after a certain point, and my son would look at me, he was 2 years old at the time, so he wouldn't understand why mom was crying. And I
Yeah.
would go like, well, I want to be able to just not cry, not be a mess with him, but you just don't know how.
Yeah.
So luckily for me, I went to teachers and I did the same thing as well. I went to a few psychic healers, tried to connect with my daughter that way, but it never felt the same. Like I just felt that as a mom, I wanted to reach out and have my conversation with
Yeah.
my daughter. And I think it was the first time where I was chatting with the universe and not angry. I wasn't angry. I wasn't what do you say, like shouting or anything like that. But I was just going that, hey, I'm the mother here. I really need to connect with my daughter. Like, you just need to understand this. And
Yes.
I just need to know how a way where I can connect with her and where I can just have a conversation with her. And so,
Yep.
luckily, in that process, then I met one of the teachers. And I was writing out, like, when I would choose a teacher or when I would find someone, I would say, this is what I want to do. And he said, okay, yes, I'll teach you how to get in touch with your daughter. I said, okay, perfect. If you can do that, that's cool. And so that's how we started our classes. And I would do 1 hour Skype sessions with him. After two sessions, so two 1 hour sessions, I asked him, I said, well, so when can I chat with my daughter? And he said, I've already taught you the tools. And I said, well, 2 hours? And he said, yes. And he said, you already know. And, that's the thing as well. Like we all say our answers are within or we can do everything within. And here my teacher's going, well, you know it. And he was so compassionate. And he said, look, I don't think you need me to be there because this is your personal session. Why
Mm,
don't you sit down and why don't you have your chat? And let's say if you can't do it, then we'll do it together.
yep.
But just let that be your homework. And so the next day I sat down and it took me a longer time because he taught me grounding. And there's another technique that I use. It's called the gold suns. He taught me those tools of how to maintain my space. And with those, I was able to meditate, connect with my daughter, find out like why she'd come. She'd just come to kick my ass, like mom was mom
Yep.
was not, living a good life. And it is true. Like I was just letting my whole life go downhill. And I was
Yeah.
sort of accepting that. So she came in to really shake me up because things were not good and I needed a big jolt. Um, but it was very good. And so to me, coming into this whole business or being a meditation teacher, that's my primary driver as well. I
Yep.
think we all, or a lot of us, don't know how to get on with it. Like we get told, get on, or we understand we're supposed to move on, but we don't know how.
Mm. And you can't just move on. You really need to do that work and delve into yourself and find that. And each person is unique and their journey is so different. And I love that you talk about being able to connect and have a conversation with her in meditation, because I've been able to do the same thing. I lost two children in my early 20s through miscarriage, but they were earlier on. And I kind of shut it out for a long time. But as I got into meditation, as you know, it brings up so many different things to work within yourself. And that was one of those things. And I got to a point where I was able to connect with her and chat with her. And I felt so guilty. You do, as a mother, there's no reason to really feel guilty. It wasn't anything that I did, and it wasn't anything that you did. It was just is something that happens, unfortunately. But, you know, being able to talk to her and to my brother and other ancestors and stuff, it's a beautiful connection that you can have when you get to that point. And I don't think a lot of people realize, I mean, you do meditation to calm your mind, to de-stress and work on yourself, but you can get to that deeper level of understanding and connection where you can have those incredible conversations, and it is truly amazing. Yeah, and it's beautiful, and I love that you're teaching people how to do that and sharing that. And it's so, for somebody who hasn't had spiritual teaching or training before, where does it start? How does it look for someone when they come to you?
So I think you're actually asking, a very good question. Because my aim's always been to show people that they can really tap into themselves. And it doesn't matter like the way I could do it within 2 hours. And it isn't, oh, well, I am special, but so is everybody.
Yeah.
Like everybody else can do it. So one of the things that I've recently started doing is like art clarity sessions, because I'm really on a mission to prove to everybody that if they're willing, if they want to take the time, they can sit down and they can tap in wherever they're at. And
Mm.
I actually like to tie any meditation session, to tie any clarity session with a purpose. Like with the art clarity sessions, there was a guy who I met at a fair, and he wanted to look at why he had his heart disease. And
Mm.
we looked at that. And that was within 30 minutes of like lots of noise and so on as well. And he's like, I've never done something like this. Like, are you sure you'll be able to help me look at it? And I'm like, no, I'm just guiding you, by the way, but you are the one who's doing the work. And he could do it. And so my mission's really been about, it doesn't matter where you're at, how much you've done, whatever answers you want to do, whatever answers you want to have, you should be able to tap into it in a fun way. And my
Yeah,
role as a teacher is simply to be able to see that, to help you do that.
yeah.
Because I guess we feel like there's some secret key or somebody else holds a secret power. I guess if there's my aim as a teacher, my aim is just to help anyone be their highly empowered selves, whatever that
Yeah.
purpose is, whatever that goal is, and it'll happen a lot quicker, like because it doesn't need as much. It just needs you to be in a nice kindy space. I call it like a 3-year-old space where people come in and it actually works. Like the easier you are, the more you go with, okay, I can do anything, I can make mistakes. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
especially if it's meditate, like it's about de-stressing, right? It doesn't
I
have
know. But a lot of people do when they first start meditating is they stress that they can't do it properly or they can't quiet their mind. And that's completely normal. It takes a little bit of time to get used to learning how to do that because our lives are so much all the time. But there's no anyone can do it if it's having the right teacher and the right guidance and just showing the way and building on that.
Yeah, and I know like the reasons I couldn't meditate in the beginning was because I tried exactly that. I've done, maybe 5 minutes. I had a quiet mind. Now what's the output? And what happens? You know, this, uh, but now I do like moon meditations as well. So I do some new moon meditations and full moon meditations. And I have new people come in all the time. Last time my class was around tapping into Akashic records. And
Oh,
they
yep.
did it. Like within the 1 hour, they did it for themselves.
Mm,
It really is just having more fun. The easier we are, the more we play. It's not something that's, hidden and so on. You give yourself permission and you just tap in.
yep. Yeah. It's about making that choice and yeah. and trying it out. And I know, and for people who may not be in that kind of space of wanting to really delve into the deep spiritual side of it, it does still have a lot of other benefits. So for me personally, like I said, I started meditation regularly after my car accident. I was in a lot of pain. I also have Crohn's disease and arthritis, so I'm in, I guess, chronic pain all the time. But I find if things are really intense for me, I can go to a meditation session. Like I do it at home, but I have a group that I go to as well. And I will be coming to you as well because I love all that you do. So I think that's something to explore. But I could go in with so much pain, unbearable. Like I'm literally clenching in pain, and it's hard to focus when you're like that. But because I've been doing it for a little while, I guess you can sort of tune in. And by the end of the session, the pain was gone, completely gone. And it just blows my mind still. I've been doing it for a while now, but if it can alleviate the chronic intense pain that I've got, knowing it's at a high level, it can be so beneficial to other people in so many different ways. And it's not just the de-stress, it's not just the inner self journey, it's a collection of things together, and it's really transformative. And I love that, a lot more people are becoming interested in it now and being involved in it and coming along. So I think what can you explain a bit more about all the different sessions that you have? So you said you have the full moon and those sorts of ones, which is one of the ones I'd like to come to. But so do you do one-on-one sessions, you do group sessions, or you do a bit of a variety?
Yeah, I do a variety. So I do, for example, the art clarity session that I talked about. This is just a one-on-one session. It's very personalized and people can do that. Then just for people to dab in and taste, there are the moon meditations as well, where they can come in, and it's an art therapy meditation session, because I find that when you give them colors, then there's, like we just start coloring, it brings us into a nice relaxed space. There's something else to focus on, like where's your crayon going and so on. And it just calms the mind in a different way. I'm not trying to quieten the mind. I'm just giving it a direction.
Yeah.
And then the whole flow happens and we bring in our insights in that way, because hands talk as well. I've got two other courses. So one of the courses is a grounding in gold sun course. And this is online, but it is also self-paced and it also has access to me. This is like my vision, just to share with the world, how I could connect with my daughter. And it's not just for that. Grounding is like for any everyday situation that someone might feel stressed about. Anything that they're wanting to make better. Everything, like you touched upon pain, everything is energy, whether you're wanting to have more money. And since I've started meditating, I've created more money, I've created new relationships, I've got better houses, better cars. Like there's nothing that isn't energy. We just might not always understand it that way, but typically everything is connected and everything is just energy. So when you start grounding, that's a free e-course, by the way. Anybody can do that, and that's just like a taste. It's very bite-sized. Anybody can do it from their home. That's a free grounding course. It's available at artoflifecenter.com/grounding. And then finally, my final offering is a life makeover course, and that is life makeover. That is art therapy based. That is very much like wherever you are, we start with looking at your goals. And it's again a self-paced course with me checking in fairly regularly. There's fair amount of regular feedback. And it's not, well, whatever you do in your meditations, because you're sitting and drawing, I just have a look at your pictures and I see what you are doing and I look at the energy behind that, give feedback with that. But the idea is that whatever you're trying to do, you get some movement with that. So I'll give you examples. In that, we look around time. And one of my students started this. And then, so he mentioned at the beginning, I asked them, what do you like to do? And a lot of people, it's funny, like, I'm not saying funny in a bad way, because I was there as well. When you ask them, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies? They go like, oh, but I've never done them,
Yeah.
We get very busy with life. So he's talking around gardening and so on, like life's so busy, but I've never done that for a while. And then he started the grounding exercise with with his time, and there's a way of doing it. Uh, and then he says, "Well, I don't know why, but all my teams just somehow gone on leave. So
Yeah.
like there's nobody at work, and it wasn't even holiday season. Like there weren't the school holidays or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
like just everybody's gone on leave, and I'm actually at home, and I'm actually doing God's."
See, it's funny, isn't it? Because the universe, once you sort of make that decision that, oh, I'd really like to bring that into my life,
Yeah.
things just flow and happen. And yeah, the universe will make it happen if it's the right choice for you. So
Also, I think what we do in the meditation, so it's a three-part process. I think the first thing is you clear it out. So let's say if I wanted to decorate the home, right? That's an example of, let's say, my space, my whole space, my body, and my aura layers. I
yeah,
first want to clean it out just to make a little bit more space, right? And then once you've cleaned it out, then you can bring the new stuff in so you can create after that.
yeah,
So the meditation is basically first you meditate, then you create, and so that's the whole point. It's not just cleaning, it's not just the calming. The
mm,
creation is either the health, the wealth, abundance, prosperity, meaning, whatever it has for you, that creation. And then the last part I would say is just the gratitude or just the acknowledgement, because just signaling out that, hey, I like this and I would like to have more of it. To me, it's a three-stage process. And in that, you can apply that to everything.
yeah, yeah. So do you help people? I mean, I'm presuming it would help because I know I can hear what you've just explained, and I know myself, but people who are in that process of grief or addiction or a really negative mindset, being able to come into somewhere, a space like yours, and be able to do that and create and change is
Yeah,
such a great
yeah.
tool. So yeah,
Absolutely. Like anybody can come in and they can truly change their life. Now, there are two ways. So, one is that, yes, I can offer the healing or I can do a reading for them. But the other thing, like to get actually something out of a meditation course, I can do my bit, I can show them what needs to be done. But
mm,
then their part is in that they have to show up and they just have to keep playing with the tools. And I say playing with the tools because the more you have fun with it, the better the energy flows, the better everything works. But
yeah,
it's just that dedication. You couldn't have, let's say, a gym membership and expect that your body just looks great.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a similar concept, and it's depending on the place they're at, because there is that reception. How ready are you to
yeah,
receive? So the more you can work with the energy, the more you're able to receive that as well. There are two parts, right? Giving and receiving.
yeah, yeah. So So, for anyone who's interested in some of your services and what you offer, I know that you are in Perth. So, whereabouts, what suburb exactly in Perth are you if they want to come along and find out more?
Oh, I'm in West Leaderville, so I routinely do like my sessions, the moon meditation art therapy sessions. They're in West Leaderville. And then if I'm doing a reading or a healing, they can be done in West Leaderville as well, or I can do them online.
Yeah,
It depends. Sometimes people prefer to do it online if they're busy. Others prefer to do it in person. Either way, I'm just tuning into the spirit, so it works. It doesn't need that time and space constraint.
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Look, I think you're such a beautiful soul. You've been through an incredible journey, and to be able to share this love and the light and just everything that you do with everyone is such a beautiful gift, and it really does transform lives. I mean, I know personally how wonderful it is. So thank you so much for being on our show today. um, just one last thing before we go, do you have a favorite quote or saying or something that really sort of ignites you during those times that you might need a little bit of a lift?
I think I'll share two.
Okay, yep.
So the first one, one of my favorite ones is that life always starts inside out. You
Oh,
do the change inside, and then the change happens outside.
absolutely.
I've seen it lots of times. Like I almost, when I started doing the meditations and the way I teach it, we've got a couple of tools, like grounding is a way of doing stuff. Um, and I shared that with people, but we've just got a couple of tools and I would just try them and go like, how this doesn't seem like this is so simple. This can't work. But I would just do them and I would just work on the energy of it. So for example, if I was feeling that somebody really annoyed me, let's say. So I was in a past relationship which wasn't the healthiest, and that's why I got out of it. But I wasn't neutral to it at one point, and I would just sit down, run my energy, and just get neutral. And I would still go like, well, okay, I'm doing it for me, but how does it transform the relationship between us? Because it is like very toxic as such.
Yeah.
But it does transform outside because there comes a point where you can actually feel like, okay, like this time we met and it just wasn't as awkward anymore. Like we could just talk. There've been times where we've even conversed as like and just had a generally good time together.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think not a lot of people would probably think of it this way, but I've come to believe that life's inside out. So it's what in within us that we are experiencing outside.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
the other quote, and again, it's just a food for thought for a lot of people. We all want, or our world is wired that we all want to be busy, and sometimes busy is like, yes, I've actually got a lot of work. Sometimes if we want to deal with some pain or some trauma,
Yeah.
that's the only way we know. We go like, okay, let's get busy. We'll go out, meet someone, we'll create some new activity. And actually, that's what you'll see a lot of people doing as well.
Mhm.
The minute they have a breakup, they'll just start a new activity. Uh, might be a hard one to swallow, uh, but my quote that is that instead of doing something, do nothing.
Yeah.
Now, the example that I often give here is that when the baby is born, for about, the 9 months that sits in the womb, there's a whole lot of nothing that's happening. Like the baby is just sleeping, just kicking around, just doing, and yet it comes out, it's fully formed. There's a whole lot of magic that happens with doing nothing. Again, doing nothing doesn't mean being quiet, doesn't mean that you have to really still your mind and sit down. But doing nothing just means take the time for yourself, do something that just connects you, with your
Yeah.
life. Maybe it's going out in the nature and just being with that and just sometimes letting that stuff come out
Mm.
because there's magical insights that come in. They're always wanting to come in. They just need that space. They just
Yeah.
need to just create that space. So if the tendency is to do something because you want to get some peace or you want to really actually there are times when I've settled down when the day feels rushed and I've gone like, okay, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to do nothing. In my language, it is a lot of times it's just meditating and work gets a lot easier. So when you're going fast, try and go slow
Yeah.
instead. When
Yeah.
you want to do something and just do nothing.
And like you say, it is hard to do, to stop and to kind of, it's one of the hardest things to do. But it is just so, yeah, it's really what we need sometimes. And like you said, and doing something like one of your art courses where you can just connect in, because when you do your artwork, it's really releasing those emotions as well. And like you said, you touched on using the different colors and you just do your emotions go into that picture, and it's really a great release and a great way to do things. So, look, thank you so much. I just love the way that you view the world and love the way that you articulate things. And it's so beautiful. So, for anyone out there listening today who wants to touch base with Kanika and explore a bit more through her centre, we will put all the information in the bio, and make sure that you do reach out because it's a beautiful journey to be on.
Thank you so much, Marika. It's been really wonderful to be with you and just listening to your podcast as well. You have an amazing collection. Yeah, thank you. You're such a warm and inspiring soul.
Oh, thank you. All right, listeners, look, make sure you reach out to Kanika, and we will be out with more episodes soon. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.